7:44 is now the time. You know, our unemployment rate is high. Uncertainty hangs over the economy because of government funding, and yet the average person today in the U.S. is still living in the most prosperous period in history. And if you don't feel that prosperous, we're going to talk about why. Alan Parkman joins me now. Alan is a Regents Professor Emeritus of Management at UNM and has taught there for 30 years. Thanks for coming in, Alan.
My pleasure.
All right, so this is an interesting topic. First off, how is it that we are living in the most prosperous period in the U.S. despite an uneven recovery?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I was looking at data just the other day. Over my lifetime, if you look at the output in the United States per person, adjusted for inflation, output has gone up 4.5 times over just my lifetime. And so there's an enormous amount of resources out there, but I think the problem for a lot of people is, of course, the potential for sort of bad luck, but also really people, unfortunately, even in this period of prosperity, a lot of people have just made some very poor decisions.
Poor decisions playing a role. I mean, that comes into play as to why some may not feel as prosperous. Are there other reasons? Well,
but I think just take a benchmark is that in terms of making good decisions, is that if you look at the data, people living a very comfortable life only have to do a couple things.
Okay.
All they have to do is finish high school, get married, and stay married. So if you do those kinds of things, you're going to be relatively comfortable. So if you look at the background behind people who probably often are going to feel very frustrated, or the people that don't get enough education to meet the needs in the marketplace today. I mean, just as an example, for example, men who have finished high school, if you look at 25 to 35-year-old people, the percentage of men who finish high school has been flat for the last 40 years. Now, prior to that, it kept going up and up and up as people got the skills to meet the marketplace. And for a variety of reasons, starting about 1970, the percentage of men who finish high school has been flat. And yet the demands of the labor force to get a comfortable job, to get an interesting job, have gone up. And for some reason, because we know with women, women haven't done that.
No,
women
it's
have
gone up, right?
Women have gone way up, both in terms of high school and college. They've gotten the skills. But for some reason, the guys haven't, and that's the number one thing, is if you don't finish high school, and then increasingly, if you don't finish college, how can you expect a comfortable job? And then, of course, the issues of marriage and spending your money wisely. There's all these other things that you can do a much better job of. And if you don't, then you're going to be very frustrated.
Yeah, because that kind of plays into like the stability of your relationship.
Oh, absolutely.
And how crucial that is during this time.
Well, and just take the issue of marriage, is that if you look at one of the poor groups, the single-parent households. Now, if you went back 50, 60, 70 years ago, really about the only single-parent households of any large number were widows.
Yeah,
you know, the idea,
true.
So I mean, you have the situation where you have single-parent households today. That goes back to the issue of getting married and staying married. Is that group overall is very frustrated, very poor, and again, it's regrettable the decisions people made, but they made decisions, and they often weren't very good ones.
Make good choices, bottom line, as we plan for 2014.
You're right. Yeah, well, and I think planning ahead, you know, as to say, is spending more wisely, staying away from drugs, staying away from gambling, that kind of thing. Stay away from credit card debt. I mean, there's a lot of things that people can do like that. And of course, if they're planning toward the future, they have to make sure you set money aside.
And on the screen right now, really 3 bottom line things that you need to know. Go back to school, relationship stability, don't overspend. These are ways you're saying this is how you come to feel prosper.
Exactly.
Very basic.
It's just what we're saying, that whole idea of getting a decent education and preparing yourself for the job market. Don't spend foolishly. And then again, just plan toward the future.
Alan, we can talk for hours about this. This is very interesting. Thank you so much for shedding some light on this. It's great to see you.
My pleasure.
And thanks for coming in. Happy New Year, by the way.
All right, thank you.
All right, stay right there. 7:48 is now the time. A snow angel can be beautiful, but this man right here, creating much more elaborate designs, using some tools, and the ability to walk. We're going to delve more into that. And also, we're going to talk about an app that has come in handy, especially this past New Year's Eve, and it's still out there for you. We're going to talk about this. This is a lot of fun. We'll be right back.